My name is Claudia Trif. I am the head of the Human Resources Unit at Eurojust, and I am pleased to present this career-related section of the Eurojust Open Day. Together with me, I have today one of the biggest supporters of our staff at Eurojust, our administrative director, Mr. Nick Panagiotopoulos. Good morning, Nick.
Good morning. Good afternoon, actually.
Good afternoon. Thank you for being here with me today. I would also like to introduce a colleague who is behind the scenes, an HR colleague behind the scenes, Anka Negrutz, the head of recruitment and development at Eurojust. She's currently in Helsinki. She's going to take care of the moderation of the questions, and she will be channeling the questions to us. We will start with a poll, because we would like to know which country you're coming from. So you will have 1 minute to tell us whether you are from the Netherlands, from Europe, or from outside Europe. We have around 200 attendees registered for this session, and we are very honored by your interest in this open day and in the work of Eurojust. So a big, big thank you from our side for being here with us today. This is maybe one of the advantages of the current situation, that we can have this session online, and people who are not in The Hague can also join us, because in the past year you had to be physically here to participate. Now we're opening this possibility to more people. So you have 1 minute to let us know where you come from, and as soon as I have the replies, I will get back to you. Now, the agenda for today. A few points that we would like to cover, a few points that we thought would be interesting for you. The first one is, how is Eurojust as an employer? Then we would like to give you a few details on the staff that we hire, the contracts and the contracts we offer. Then we have a little point on internships, and then we would like to talk to you about the common day at Eurojust. This was a very frequent question that arrived last year. We would like to respond to it up front. And then, in the end, we will close with questions and answers. Before I proceed with the agenda, Nick, I would like to give you the floor for the opening statements.
Yes, thank you, Claudia. As you mentioned, my name is Nikolaos Panagiotopoulos, but all my colleagues and my friends call me Nick. I'm the AD, or the Administrative Director at Eurojust, and I'm very proud to be leading a group of about 240 staff members from different backgrounds and disciplines, from budget and finance, IT, security, events organizers, HR, and communications experts, the people that made this possible today, this virtual event possible today. And of course, we have a large number of legal experts in all disciplines of law, especially in judicial cooperation issues. I'm proud to lead this very dynamic group of staff, temporary agents, contract agents, seconded national experts, and consultants. They all work together with about another 90 prosecutors and investigative judges who are detached from the member states and are based here in The Hague, working closely together. We at Eurojust contribute to the fight against serious cross-border crime. As the AD of Eurojust, I would like to warmly welcome everybody to this first virtual open day and this special session on career opportunities. Now, we are committed to recruiting EU nationals from each and every member state. And you know, the large number of applications that we receive for our vacancies clearly highlight that we are an attractive, a modern, a dynamic organization, offering excellent working conditions. Now, recruitment procedures are quite competitive, I must say, and we keep on attracting many highly educated, multilingual, and experienced candidates. Some of you are probably aware that in The Hague, it's a tradition for international organizations to open their doors to the public during these open day sessions at least once a year. And we were always very happy to receive residents and other visitors coming to our building. Unfortunately, the coronavirus pandemic does not permit this year. Nevertheless, the modern technologies provide other alternatives and make events such as this one possible. Technology provides us with new possibilities, and today these virtual events, like Claudia already mentioned, you have the possibility to join us from different corners of Europe and even beyond Europe. And that makes it even more interesting for us too, because we could reach out to a larger audience. And many of you who are not in The Hague, would not be able to come and be present and witness and hear and listen to all these presentations and information that you could get today if you had to come here in person during the on-site visits. In the past years, during the open days, our building was really bustling with people coming in and out, and it was a nice experience to see people face to face. We're not able to do this year, and we used to offer coffee, and again, we're not able to do this year. Good coffee, actually. But we still will be able to explain to you our recruitment procedures, how they work, and if you're interested candidates, what we expect from you, what you could expect from us. You can ask us questions as far as training and development is concerned and other career opportunities. Before giving the floor back to Claudia, if you would like to also join the other sessions in the afternoon, the Meet the Prosecutor sessions, where you can listen to prosecutors explain the work that they do, the important work in fighting crime and cooperating with other prosecution services across Europe, how they work together to fight serious cross-border crimes, please, you can announce it in the chat, and my team will send you a link to join. So now the floor goes back to Claudia.
Thank you very much, Nick, and thank you for your words. We have the result of the poll now, and you're perfectly right. 25% of the attendees are from Netherlands. So this means 68 in Europe, and outside the EU, 7%. So 68 plus 7, these are people who would not have come
and that's
to
a
the
large
building.
number
Yes.
of people that would not have been able to listen in to our discussion today and
So
your presentation.
Exactly, 3/4 of the people would not have had this
welcome
opportunity.
to everybody again.
Coming back to our agenda, I was really thinking, what would be our selling points for Eurojust? Why would someone want to work for Eurojust? And I made a few notes these days as I was reflecting about it. And this is under the agenda point, Eurojust as employer. Why would you apply for a post at Eurojust? Well, the business of Eurojust is facilitating cross-border cooperation. Our commitment is towards a crime-free Europe. And this job is done by very, very committed professionals. I see a high level of commitment in the organization towards the cause, towards our mandate, and also towards the job that everybody does. So you would be working with a group of highly committed people, people who do their best, do their very best to provide excellent service to the union. Eurojust is a place where performance is appreciated and rewarded. Eurojust is a place which is regulated. On the other hand, the purpose of the rules is to ensure equal treatment and transparency. This doesn't mean that there is no room for creativity, for innovation, and for out-of-the-box thinking. On the contrary. Another selling point for me is the fact that Eurojust is a small organization, relatively small, compared to many other EU agencies. So we are around 230 staff members, plus postal, and 330 people. The atmosphere is very familiar. Within a very short time, you get to know everyone. So it's a friendly, familiar atmosphere in the organization. The hierarchies are not rigid. In addition to that, when it comes to your job, you have the possibility to shape your job depending on the skills and competencies you have and the skills and competencies you want to develop. So you're not put in a little niche, in a little box where your portfolio is limited. On the contrary, you have the possibility to expand your competencies and your portfolio. Another reason why I'm proud to work for Eurojust is that the fact that we are very mindful that we are paid from public money. And all the decisions make sure that the money is wisely spent. And last but not least, why Eurojust is the place to work? It's our future ambitions. We are becoming more and more ambitious as an organization, and there is more and more demand from our stakeholders, from member states and the EU Commission to play a prominent role in judicial cooperation. In particular, the digitalization of the judicial cooperation system. So in the future, Eurojust will have a very important role. And we are striving to become an agile organization in terms of the way we are organized, in terms of skills, and also in terms of IT savvy, in order to fulfill the requirements of our stakeholders. Is there anything you would like to add?
Yes, actually, you mentioned that we have excellent working conditions, and it's true. The salaries, the healthcare system, the job security, the pension plans that we have, they're quite attractive. But I think in the long run, this is not enough. People need to identify with a mission, with a purpose. And at Eurojust, we offer that because we help keep Europe safe. I remember a few years ago, we organized a little competition among the children of our staff members. And the children drew different paintings of what they thought Eurojust was about. And it was quite interesting because they were asking the parents what kind of work we're doing, etc., and what we're involved in. And there were nice drawings of kids saying, Eurojust keeps us safe. Eurojust protects us from criminals. We contribute to this fight, and it's a serious fight because there's a lot of serious crime across Europe, and not only Europe, all over. And we contribute to this fight against trafficking in human beings, in trafficking in drugs, in cyber crimes, and cyber crimes are increasing more and more, etc., etc. So this identification with doing something good for society is something that I think is the driving force, at least for me. Even though I'm not involved in the operational work per se, I think this contribution to fighting crime is what keeps me going and keeps me motivated and energetic. You mentioned also digitalization of criminal justice, and there's a lot of potential for us as an organization in the future. We came up with a project a few years ago, and it was strongly supported by the ministers of justice, and things have been moving a lot. The coronavirus has actually highlighted the need to digitalize justice in general, but especially in cooperation with, on judicial matters. And there will be a lot of IT development, tools that will ensure safe, secure exchange of information between prosecution services of the different national authorities. And this will be a challenging period. The future ahead for Eurojust will be very positive, we have, I think, a very bright future, and I think that this would be another reason why people from nationals from across Europe would be interested in working for us.
Absolutely. Thank you very much, Nick. So, for the prospective candidates to be successful, I think we need to tell them what kind of people we're looking for. So what are the types of professionals that we would want to hire?
Like I mentioned, we have, as you know, as head of HR, a wide gamma of backgrounds, profiles, budget people, finance, legal experts, IT experts, etc., etc. One thing they all have in common is that they're very good at the work they do, and most of them have had experience in other institutions, in other organizations, in the public, in the private sphere also. So we want highly educated, well-trained, multilingual persons to work for us. But I think above all, what we also look for and strive for is people that could work together with teams. Because I think the big challenge for any organization, including our own, is teamwork. And we've been trying to ensure that the atmosphere at Eurojust, the teamwork and the team spirit is boosted. And we've come a long way. We offer for our staff, and you know quite well, different training and development programs, and that also helps. So we want people who are experienced, who have specialized knowledge, and who are good team players.
Indeed. We are striving to build a dynamic, agile workforce where people are motivated to take on new challenges, where people are open to change, and in an environment which is all about teamwork, all about cooperation. What do? Judicial cooperation. So in-house, we have to do the same, to cooperate. There is no job that can be done in isolation without you needing to rely on input from one person or a group.
You touched on the right word, cooperation. That's the crux of our work, because we don't only cooperate amongst us in the administration, but the prosecutors from all across Europe, and even beyond Europe, because we have many working cooperation agreements with other third countries, and we work with prosecutors from third countries. The key is cooperation, getting everybody together, working together, finding solutions together, agreeing on these solutions and these ways forward that they could approach and deal with different difficult situations, legal and otherwise.
Then I would like to show a few demographics, because in addition to being, as we just described, a very dynamic organization with lots of challenges, we also have a very wide nationality distribution. So we have staff from 26 member states. We only have from two countries. We don't have staff, Cyprus and Luxembourg. And we are interested, of course, to attract people from these countries, because we do have the prosecutors from the respective countries at the national desk, but they are not our staff. In terms of gender balance, 33% of our staff are men and 67% are women.
Which brings me to a point that I forgot to mention. I would also like to attract more men. But you know, it's quite difficult, because maybe because the women are smarter than us, I don't know, but they usually are more successful in the recruitment procedures.
For some reason, the candidates that we're attracting are more women. We're attracting more women than men. And year by year, we have in our objective to improve the gender distribution. So I would like to emphasize that we are interested to attract more male candidates, to get a better gender balance. We include it in every vacancy notice. And of course, recruitment of men is based on merits. So.
Yes, I think the key is merit in any recruitment procedure, irrespective of if they're male or female, or they come from X or Y member state. The key differentiation factor is the merit. We want to attract and we recruit the best candidates in each recruitment procedure.
Exactly, indeed. Then I would like to proceed with our next agenda item, and this is about the types of staff we're recruiting. So this is where it's becoming probably more interesting for you. How can you become one of our staff members? There are a number of desired profiles at Eurojust. For the operational areas, we are looking for judicial cooperation professionals mainly. So people with experience in judicial cooperation, prosecutors, analysts, lawyers. Also for our operational areas, we're looking for data management professionals, people with experience in working with large data sets. Data is becoming an important element in the work of Eurojust.
If I could just mention something as far as data is concerned, we have recently created in reorganization a data management unit because, as Claudia mentioned, data management is very important. We are getting more and more data in our databases. We need to be able to process work and extract various statistics and analysis from this data. The Digital Criminal Justice program that I mentioned earlier is a program that will put a lot of emphasis on data management, and it will be a specialization that we will be looking for in the future.
In addition to the experts, we're also employing in support roles in the operational area, legal, judicial cooperation, and administrative assistance. Apart from the operational related work, we have the support functions in our resources department. And these are for this area, we're looking for IT experts, people with finance background, HR, legal, communication, events organization, and last but not least, support roles to our national members, to the prosecutors, judges seconded from the member states to Eurojust. Is there anything you would like to add?
No, I think you've covered all the relevant issues. Yes.
Now, how can you get a job? What is the gate to obtain a position at Eurojust? By applying to one of our vacancy notices. I would like to say right away that we do not accept spontaneous applications. If you're interested in a job, you need to follow our website. You need to follow us on LinkedIn and on Twitter. All the open positions are published there. And you need to read carefully the vacancy notice and see if this is a profile which is suitable for you. The vacancy notices I want to emphasize this a lot. The vacancy notice gives you all the information that you need to prepare your candidature for Eurojust. The vacancy notice outlines the tasks that you will be doing, the requirements you need to fulfill to be considered for a position, and also you will find there a description of what happens at each stage in the selection procedure. The vacancy notices are quite big documents, so I'm going to highlight a few elements which are the most relevant at this stage. Each vacancy notice has a set of eligibility requirements. Now, you need to meet these eligibility requirements 100% to be considered for a job. If you don't meet these requirements, you cannot be considered. And there is no flexibility there. What are these eligibility requirements? You can see them in the PowerPoint presentation in the green box. To be a national of an EU member state, for example, to have the number of years of experience that is required for the respective position, or to have the language requirements outlined in the vacancy notice. And in terms of language requirement, that should be English B2 at least, because this is the language we communicate in at Eurojust. And of course, your mother tongue at C1 level.
Yes, as far as languages are concerned, and I mentioned before that we have many of our colleagues are multilingual. For you to know also, besides the entrance requirements, which are the requirements that Claudia mentioned, knowing English at B2 level at least, and another language at C1 level. In order to get a promotion later on in your career, you will need to have a third language. You will need to get a level of B2 for your third language in order for you to be able to get a promotion and to get an indefinite contract in other situations. That is why we are saying that many of our staff members are multilingual. The EU is a multilingual organization. We promote this multilingualism. I think it's very important and very good for everybody. Thank you. So
again, this criteria is fixed. If you are not a national of an EU member state, you cannot be considered, unfortunately. If you don't have the years, for example, if the requirement is minimum 3 years experience for a certain position, if you don't have those minimum 3 years, again, you cannot be considered. In addition to the eligibility requirement, you need to have a certain level of qualifications. And a point for attention is that these qualifications have to be either from awarded in an EU member state, or if you obtained your diploma outside the EU, then you need a certificate of equivalence from an EU member state, basically certifying your diploma. Before we move to the package, the benefits package that Nick mentioned, I would like to go through a little bit through the contracts, because it's interesting for you to know the types of contracts that we offer for our staff. We have temporary agents posts, so temporary agent contracts, and contract agents contracts. Within the temporary agent category, we have administrators and assistant roles. The administrators are usually for expert functions, for specialist functions, and they require a university degree. The temporary agent assistants are for support roles. Usually the assistant is supporting the administrator. And in terms of qualification, a university degree is not required. secondary, post-secondary, and vocational education is sufficient. The temporary agent contracts are offered for 5 years, renewable for another 5 years, and with a second renewal of indefinite period. So temporary agent contracts can be indefinite. Don't be misled by the name.
If I could add, as far as temporary agents are concerned, it's a term, and for some of you who are not familiar with the terms used in the EU, it means staff that are not officials. Officials are permanent staff members of EU institutions. Most of the agencies do not have permanent officials. They have temporary agents. But the temporary agents does not mean that you are there for a temporary period of time. It could be, but it doesn't necessarily mean that, because eventually you get you could get an indefinite contract, which gives you a lot of job security. And the same is true with the contract agents that Claudia will now continue and describe the positions of the contract agents.
Indeed. So contract agents are hired usually for lower level responsibilities, sometimes for project type of work, and the level of experience that is required is less than for temporary agents. Therefore, contract agent positions are a very good opportunity for young professionals, freshmen from universities, to join Eurojust and other EU agencies in general. Contract agents' contracts are offered for 3 years, renewable for another 3 years, and then, as Nick said, a second renewal is for indefinite duration. There is a third category of personnel that we're employing. It's not in our slide. However, I thought I would mention it, the seconded national expert. The seconded national experts, SNEs, as we call them, are deployed from national authorities in the member states. So basically, an expert in a national authority would come to Eurojust for a limited period, 4 to 6 years, and would use this opportunity to gain Eurojust experience and also to bring their own experience from the member state to Eurojust. These colleagues remain employed with their home authorities. They benefit of an allowance at Eurojust, so they are not our permanent personnel. However, this is also a good opportunity to work for Eurojust.
I would like to add, as far as the concept of SNEs are concerned, the seconded or detached national experts, it's quite widely used in all the institutions. And the basic idea is that you have staff experts working in the administrations of the member states who are detached for a limited period of time to an institution, in this case to Eurojust. They work and acquire knowledge and acquire the working procedures and of Eurojust, etc. And then when they go back to their home countries, they're in a position to be able to cooperate better with Eurojust in this case, or with the other institutions. And also there's a sharing of knowledge and expertise between the national authorities and the EU institutions. So this is a win-win situation for everybody. The seconded national experts gain a lot of experience working in EU institutions, go back to their administrations and bring this experience back. And we, in the institutions, in the agencies, also get a better understanding of the issues, the problems, the needs of the national authorities. It's a very successful type of employment, and we encourage it also. Limited numbers, but still we have quite a few SNEs.
Yes, we have SNEs mostly in the operational areas. So we have prosecutors who work with
basically
prosecutors, yes, who work for the with the national members or with the operational units at Eurojust. So this is also an interesting opportunity. Now,
and you didn't mention the consultants.
I didn't mention the consultants. No, no.
It's a special category of consultants, of persons that are not employed directly by us, but are employed by usually IT companies with whom we have contracts with. They help us in the development and the maintenance of some of our IT tools. They work for the other company, but they work on our own projects. These are more limited types of jobs that people could get to work for Eurojust. But also that's an opportunity for somebody to eventually, in a longer term period, apply for more permanent positions with us. And we've seen that happen, consultants eventually applying and then working for us as temporary agents or contract agents.
Indeed. You mentioned the very interesting package, benefits package that we have. So, and this is only for staff, for temporary and contract agents. It doesn't apply for the other categories. So the salaries at Eurojust and in the EU institutions in general depend on the contract type and the grade. Nevertheless, the EU agencies and Eurojust in general offer a very competitive salary package. In addition to the basic salary, depending on the family, depending on where you come from and on your family situation, you can benefit of an expatriation or foreign residence allowance, household allowance, dependent child, and education allowances. In addition to that, we have good health and personal accident insurance, the JSIS, and we benefit of the EU pension and unemployment scheme. In addition to the financial package, I would like to mention a few other elements which make Eurojust an attractive place to work. First of all, the European school. We have a European school in The Hague where children can attend cost-free. Cost-free for the employees, because the fees are paid by Eurojust. In addition to that, in terms of jobs, so we discussed the details related to the jobs at the beginning of our talk. What is relevant at this point is the flexible working arrangements that we have, the opportunities for promotion at Eurojust, the opportunities for lateral moves to change your job, to do something else within Eurojust, and the learning and development opportunities that we have. And this is mostly about trainings that you can benefit, that are paid by Eurojust.
Claudia, you mentioned flexible working arrangements. I suppose you referred to flexi-time, where people could work more hours during the week and then take some part-time off. There's the part-time work
Yes.
that could be also an option for staff. But more recently, I have to say that teleworking, which was not widely used in the organization because of the pandemic again, is widespread. There was a period in time when everybody was working via telework. Nobody was in the building except for the very essential staff in IT and in security. And this gave us the opportunity to see the benefits of telework. I would not recommend it as a long-term working relationship, but the possibility to telework has many potential benefits for staff and for the organization. And I know that the Commission, the European Commission, and ourselves also will in the future make more use of teleworking. And this will add to the flexibility, flexible working conditions.
Yes, I can't help saying how against you were.
Maybe it's my age, I'm more traditional, I like to see people in the office, but I have to say that I adapted very quickly and started using video conferencing all day. I think maybe more than I should, but anyway,
yes,
it's a different story.
We were trying very hard in HR to get teleworking, get the teleworking done at a larger scale. In a way, I have to say that COVID-19 came to help us to make this swift and be more flexible in the way we work.
In general, I think the after COVID period, our lives will have different modes of, there will be many changes in our daily lives in general, and I think we should take some of the learning experience we've had during this period for the future, that at least the positive aspects in telework is one of these positive aspects. The other is, again, and I mentioned it and I'll mention it again, is that the COVID crisis highlighted the need to digitalize criminal justice, the systems that we have to cooperate and to work with other organizations, but not only in our field, in all kinds of fields. And that's why the Commission has as one of its two basic priorities, besides the Green Deal, digitalization for the next, for this mandate of this Commission. And our Commissioner is a very strong supporter of digitalizing, and he will soon be coming up with a communication on the digitalization of justice, which includes both criminal justice but also civil justice. And
I would like to add that once the lockdown started and we needed to work from home, I think in 2 weeks, it took 2 weeks or even less to become operational.
We were quite fortunate at the beginning of the pandemic, because the previous year, all our staff members, all our post holders, each had a laptop, and we had the proper connections to make our work possible. We continue to be as operational as we were before the crisis, and we continue to be. We continue to support operational work fully.
In 2 weeks. So teleworking is possible.
Yes. You don't have to twist my arm, I know.
I'm afraid that once it will be over, we will have to go back to the building hall so that you can see us all aligned.
Most of the time.
I know you like to see us and to chat with us, and
you know, you can never replace the human experience, yes. The in-person discussions. You can never replace them. And like we said in the beginning, what we need and what we emphasize at Eurojust is teamwork, and teamwork needs the personal interaction. Of course, once you've developed relations, it's much easier, and that's why we were able to continue working. The problem will be if we have new people coming in, and as you know, we've recruited people during this crisis who have never been in the building, but they're working, they're integrating slowly. It's much more difficult for them to feel part of the team, as we do, because we already have worked together with most of the colleagues for long periods of time. But the new colleagues will have a problem. That is why I think it is necessary to have people in the building working together, and to use telework for other purposes, to make everybody's life better, I guess. Because
the clock is ticking, I would like to cover a couple of more slides, and then give some time for Q&As. So the selection process. I've already emphasized the importance of the vacancy notice and the fact that you need to read the vacancy notice carefully to make sure that you are interested in the job and you fulfill the requirements for the job. Then, if you see that you tick the boxes in the vacancy notice, then you need to fill in the application. And for that, we have an e-recruitment tool with the fields that you need to complete. Please look at the requirements in the vacancy notice and fill in the application, highlighting how you meet the requirements. Because based on this, selection board will do a screening of the applications. Each application is looked at very thoroughly against the criteria set in the vacancy notice. How does the process go? So CVs being screened against the criteria in the vacancy notice. Then there's a short list of candidates who are invited for written test and interview. In the past, the written test and interviews were done in the building so that the candidates can have the opportunity to see how their future workplace will look like and how it is to be in The Hague. Now everything is online, which is in a way more efficient, more effective, and less costly. On the other hand, as Nick mentioned, we don't have this human touch. Written tests and interviews. The criteria, the requirements are again in the vacancy notice. So the written test and interview will focus on what it says in the vacancy notice that will be tested in the interview. And then candidates who are successful in the interview will be placed on a reserve list. So in a reserve list, we usually have several names included, and candidates who are on the reserve list are considered suitable to do the job they applied for. Whenever there is a vacancy, we pick candidates from the respective reserve list. So a reserve list can be used for a longer period. Actually, it's the year N +2 when the reserve list is valid.
If I could just add on the reserve list for all the listeners that aren't aware of the EU system of recruitment, reserve list means that you are on a list, that you're successful, you're suitable, but it doesn't give you a right to a recruitment. Potentially, you may be recruited depending on whether or not we have the positions available. And I would also like to highlight that these recruitment procedures are transparent and they're merit-based. In the panels, we have always a representative of the staff committee, a representative of HR to ensure that the procedures are followed correctly and properly, and also a member of the unit where the potential candidate will be recruited. And finally, our recruitment procedures are all subject to the review of the Court of Auditors and other auditing services. So we put a lot of emphasis on ensuring that the procedures are followed very diligently in a transparent and fair manner for everybody.
And that brings us to a common working day at Eurojust, which is not like this anymore.
Not like that anymore.
It used to be like this. This is now the entire organization. This is our family picture. Let's talk about the common working day before and after COVID. What is common between the two periods is that the teamwork and the cooperation, and that there are a number of meetings in which we need to participate. We have technical meetings, expert meetings, and we have the operational meetings, coordination centers, which require a lot of interaction with the rest of the organization. Nowadays, a lot of that happens virtually. Yes, yes. And of course, in addition to the meetings, there is everyone has time for individual work. Quite less time left now in during this period. We spend many hours in meetings. So it's a mix of individual working time and meetings. And I would like to mention that in the past, every other month or every 3 months, you used to invite us for a drink, where we could all meet.
Now we have virtual drinks
on a Friday afternoon. Yeah, it's
occasionally.
It's not the same. I gave up drinking since COVID started. Very briefly on internships, because I think it's a very interesting subject for many young
especially the younger
graduates.
students,
Yes.
Recent graduates.
Yes. We used to offer a large number of internships, around 70. 3 to 6 months duration. Unfortunately now, given the circumstances, we had to stop the internship programs. It's very hard to have interns with us while everything is happening remotely. It's very hard already to integrate newcomers, so with internships, it's even more challenging. On the other hand, I would like to encourage those of you who are interested to follow our website, because there will be new developments in this area. And now, finally, we're passing the floor to you for questions. Is COVID-19 affecting the way in which you are recruiting, and how frequently are we recruiting? Well, there was a dip in our recruitment at the beginning of March. On the other hand, once we put in place the systems for the selection procedure, and we got everything on the online.
Skype interviews.
Skype interviews, yes, is business as usual.
I think I mentioned earlier that we've recruited during the coronavirus something like 25 new staff members. So yes, we continue to recruit according to our needs and according to the vacancies. It's more or less business as usual, with maybe some slight delays compared to the past, but it's business as usual as far as recruitment is concerned.
Yes. Another question we received: how long does a recruitment procedure last on average? And I also have the reply from Anka. Thank you, Anka, for the reply.
From Finland.
From Finland, yes. Anka keeps the statistics as well. 2 to 3 months.
Which is super record time compared to recruitment procedures, for example, in the EU institutions that might take up to a year or even more. So our recruitment procedures are also lighter than the recruitment procedures of the institutions that have to go through EPSO, the European Personnel Selection Office. And that's why we're able to do it slightly faster. But it doesn't mean that they're easier.
No, it's not easier, no. Do we use an EPSO cast list? No, we don't. We have tried in the past and did not have a positive experience, so we're not using it any longer. Another question: what is it like to live in The Hague?
Fantastic. I have to admit that I've lived in various cities. I've lived in Montreal, in Brussels, in Athens, and in The Hague. And I have to admit that The Hague is a very nice city, lots of green, very safe bicycle paths. You're close to the sea. Okay, I don't go swimming in the sea there, but at least you have the view of the sea, the breeze of the sea. It's a cosmopolitan city with all the international organizations that are here. So you have a variety of bars and pubs. It's not a crazy nightlife like you have in Paris or in London or in Athens, because Athens has quite a nightlife, or used to have a nightlife. With COVID, I think nightlifes have been drastically reduced. But I think it's a great city. I don't know, but your experience, you've been here a little bit longer than I have.
Indeed, I've been in The Hague for 8 years now. For families, it's very, very comfortable. It's very nice to live here.
Even with couples with small dogs, it's fantastic.
It's small dogs. For singles or young people, I heard that it's a bit more boring. And some colleagues live, for example, in Amsterdam and commute from Amsterdam because life there is more exciting than it is in The Hague.
Okay.
When reviewing the application forms, do you use sifting software, or each application is reviewed by your staff? Yes, all applications are reviewed by our staff, by the selection board. By the selection board, as Nick mentioned, we have dedicated selection boards, and they read every single CV. We have 4 more minutes, Anka. If there are any other questions, we're happy to take them. Are there any opportunities for experts with special needs? Yes, we actually have an equal opportunity policy, and we have colleagues with special needs.
Actually, we have an interesting experience. A very good colleague who was on a wheelchair and also had a support dog
Yes.
there. We've made all the necessary arrangements to facilitate the entrance and the exit of the person and the movements around the building into the office that they were using. So yes, we will take all the necessary measures to ensure that we have this possible for them.
Another question. What if you have all the requirements but not the degree? Is there a different way to get at least an interview? No. The answer is no. So then please apply for a position that you qualify for. As I mentioned earlier, we have assistant positions, we have contract agent positions where the requirements are not as high as for temporary agents, administrators. So pick the job for which you fulfill the requirements. Don't waste your time just sending in the CV and trying your luck. Whether we prefer NL-based candidates or we recruit people from all Europe. Absolutely, we recruit people from all over Europe. And even during, in the last 6, 7, 8 months, we've recruited people from all over and ensured the onboarding. And actually, I have to say that we did a small survey amongst the newcomers because we were worried that our induction is not effective enough for them to feel settled and to feel welcome by the organization. And the feedback was very good. So they were happy with the induction they received.
I think it's important to underline that we recruit from anywhere in Europe. And even if an applicant is outside of Europe that meets the requirements, the nationality requirements, etc., we recruit them. And we do not discriminate. It doesn't make a difference if you're coming from Cyprus or if you're coming from Sweden. We will recruit you anyway, as long as you go through the process and you're selected. There's no reason for us to discriminate like that. There's no need. We're very happy to recruit people from, and actually, like I mentioned, we make an extra effort to recruit people from different countries. Claudia mentioned that there are 2 countries that are not represented in our staff, and we have been trying to see if it's possible to get them, but for different reasons, the interest is not always there.
A couple of more questions. Whether we're interested to employ young, enthusiastic people without experience. Yes, there are a few profiles which require no experience. Of course, if you have some experience, that's an advantage. But the answer is yes. There are vacancies, and I think in the near future we will have a few of those. Yeah. I think it's
Time?
It's time. Yes. Okay. So then our time's up. Our colleagues are telling us that we need to close. I would like to thank you very much for your attention. Unfortunately, we cannot take more questions. I will check with my colleagues from HR whether there is a possibility to respond to any of your questions outside this session. Many thanks for joining us today. A big thank you for your interest at Eurojust. Thank you, Nick, for being here with us.
My pleasure. Thank you to all the listeners in. Thank you.
Looking forward to seeing you in an interview and looking forward to seeing you at Eurojust. Goodbye.
Bye-bye.